freedoms as a U.S. citizen. I think our freedoms as citizens are important because they allow us to give our input on the country, like voting for a president. They allow us to believe in our religion, speak as we wish, and write what we want to write about. George Washington once said, if the freedom of speech is taken away, then dumb and silent we may be led like sheep to the slaughter. These are things that I believe make the United States the strongest and best nation. The right to vote for a president is a constitutional right. This allows us as United States citizens to vote for the leader of our nation. I have heard people say it's important to vote because if you don't vote, then you don't have anything to whine about when the president you vote for doesn't get elected. When you vote, you are giving input on your nation. If we don't have the right to vote, our president will more than likely try to take over and then make the country the way they want it to be. The freedom of religion allows us to believe in whatever we want. For example, you can be Catholic, Christian, Jewish, or etc. This is a good thing because you can worship in whatever you please. This way you aren't being forced into believing in one religion that you may not even care to think about. If we all believed in the same religion, our country would be a very boring place, I think. I think this freedom is a very important freedom. The freedom of speech. Do you like to talk? Well, then this is a very important right. The freedom of speech allows us to say what we want. This is important in our country so we can stand up for what we think. Imagine if we couldn't speak for ourselves, how the country would be today. There would still be slavery, but Martin Luther King used his freedom of speech to help abolish slavery. If we didn't have the freedom of speech, being in this country really wouldn't even matter. The freedom of press. This allows us to write in newspapers, broadcast on TV, and even send letters to the U.S. senators, president, etc. When a representative or senator write a letter to the president, they're using their freedom of press. When the News Tribune puts stories in the local newspaper, they're using their freedom of press. If we didn't have freedom of press, there would be no newspapers, no letters, and possibly no books or magazines. In conclusion, our freedoms as U.S. citizens are very important. I think if we didn't have freedoms as a U.S. citizen in this country would not even be the same. If we didn't have freedoms in our country, we would be led by one person and no one would have a say in anything that went on in our country. If there were no freedoms in the world may be very different than it is today.